on what they are doing as a company. So what we're going to do is we'll actually have each of the panelists give a small introduction to what and how their companies are using VR, AR and other technologies for betterment of serving their consumers. We then break into a discussion, and what I would request everyone to do is if you have a question, please raise your hand in the middle. Because we can kind of address that question there and then. So we don't have to keep all interactions towards the end, and we're here to learn from you all. So if you all have done some work in this area, please raise your hand. I think it would be wonderful for us to kind of hear your use cases as well. Oh, yes? Okay, you've done some work. Okay, so when we're kind of discussing it, you can maybe share with us what you've done as well, yeah? Thanks. Thanks.
Thank you, Sumi. Thank you for putting a context to it. And so here am I. I think after doing, I'm a content person. I prefer to call myself a content person. And after doing about 40 shows on TV and lots of digital films and advertising films, the challenge given to me by my bosses was to actually do storytelling via 360 VR and AR, and that's where the next big leap is going to be. One of the biggest challenges that today the industry is facing is talking about how do you distribute the content that you make, right? And we start off my presentation by showing you a clip, which some of you would have seen, which is of my boss giving a small talk at a large talk, but a small chunk of it is what I'd like to start off with, addressing that need and where is the landscape. What I'm sure you're aware of what India's rank was in terms of data consumption, and after Geo, we're currently world's largest data consuming nation, even bigger than China and US. So disruption is what Geo did, and we plan to disrupt and do some very interesting aspects when it comes to even consuming 360 VR and AR. So can I please play the video?
Friends, what comes next for broadband connectivity in India? Optical fiber-based fixed-line broadband is the future. Jio is determined to move India to be among the top 5 in the fixed-line broadband too in the coming years. For your home, this will mean ultra-high-definition entertainment on your large-screen TVs, multi-party video conferencing from the comfort of your home, voice-activated virtual assistants who obey your every command, virtual reality gaming and digital shopping where you're magically transported into a digital universe of immersive experiences.
I think that okay. Sorry, yeah. So this was actually a small gist of what we're trying to do with the new Giga market for fiber that we're launching. A lot of stuff that we've been doing as Geo Studios is not out, which is something that will come out in terms of we've shot in about 25 countries. We've shot some of the biggest events ranging from a Coldplay to the film fairs to the Miss Indias to a lot of interesting aspects happening around the globe, and all of it is something that is eventually going to be belted out to the consumers, right? So we are really trying to take this new technology and use storytelling as a medium and mode, and thus pass it out to the consumers. So we are an in-house. So who we are an in-house content studio. The vision of the chairman was what Mudra was earlier of Reliance, but this is the new age content communication agency built with tech, also as a weaponry to address the needs of clients. So a large chunk of our business is, apart from doing all the in-house advertising that we do for Jio, including the Dhanadans of the world, but we also work a lot with brands, clients, to actually give them a content experience when it comes to either communications or it comes to technology. Next one, please. Can I have the next slide? Yeah. In terms of our journey of 360, and again, I'm sure I don't have to preach the Pope, and a lot of you in the audience would know the difference between a 360 video and a virtual reality video. Our journey of 360, we started off by doing 360 about 3.5 years ago. The first agency that we went and met was GoPro. So I met up with Nick Woodman, and they helped us build a customized rig of some GoPros put together, and we actually experimented a lot with content, which included skydiving with a rig of GoPros to going underwater as well, and just tried to learn, because in India, while shooting 360 videos is pretty easy and it's a child's play, the challenge lied at that point of time in editing the videos, so putting it all together. So we actually tried our hands at doing that. We were trained by international companies who had the expertise to edit, and when I'm saying we, it's a large in-house editing team that we have, which actually stitched the videos together. From there, we graduated to now a full-service agency where we, right from Johns to Nokia Ozos to I think a cool one that GoPro has launched called Fusion. We work with a blend of cameras to shoot 360 content. We've shot in over 25 countries, a lot of B2C content, and we've also started developing games. So about more than 10 games we've developed in-house. Now the gaming would come under VR because you would require sensors for it, and while a 360 video you can actually view anywhere and you don't require sensors for it as well. And also a lot of AR-driven solutions. Yeah. We are also, to popularize it, what we're trying to do is mingle storytelling with it and trying to do stuff which makes sense. Can I have the next slide? Yes. So so the future is democratizing it, and whatever we try and create, how do we ensure that it reaches not a few customer base just in the B2B domain, but how do I really take it out to the consumers on a broader level is something the plan is. And we're hoping to achieve that in the next 1 year, hopefully in the next ad tech. There will be homes which will have an Oculus, courtesy Geo, and the viewing pattern also would change from a 2D film to a 360-degree video. We are hoping to achieve that in a large amount as well. The next one. So yeah, so this is basically what the thought process is. Is there a video which, the first one itself had it? Okay, so can I go back to the first one and start it from, the first slide, and actually start from where the chairman's speech stopped? Abhinav, you mind just helping me? Apologies.
Friends,
look forward.
to share your views.
Hello everyone. So I don't have a presentation at all. We'll be talking impromptu as it were. So I would like to start by with a sentiment, and I was speaking to some people yesterday about marketing. It is said that bartenders and barbers should know a little bit about everything. I think marketers should fall in the same category. So when you hear about the shiny new object syndrome and not being led astray by the latest buzzword, I think you might still choose to wisely evaluate it, but I think it's imperative for everyone to at least be aware of what's out there in the market, right? You cannot today be a marketer who is not into tech, and that's why all of you are here. My first experience with AR was actually back in 2015 when I was the senior brand manager on KitKat. So CPG, as far as away from tech as you can imagine, but we had an interesting project coming up which I was working on, top secret. So we had a global tie-up with Google at that time, and their latest Android version was being named KitKat, right? So that was the top secret project. And to announce a launch in India, and in CPG you're on a shoestring budget, so there is various different categories, the budgets are different everywhere, but as this young person on KitKat, the choice was between various media, and we said, look, it's tech and it is KitKat, it's fun, so how do you get the storytelling alive? So what we did finally was, we went ahead with an AR idea. What we did was we went on Times of India front page, we announced the promo, and there was an interesting thing, you could take your phone, scan it, and by the time the little guy, the Android walked down to the bottom of the page, he would convert to the new chocolate KitKat. So my boss, when we were doing it, said, is it even worth it? Newfangled, why do you do it? I said, you might get up to 50 scans, even that's a good number. It's an interesting way of telling a story, and it's an add-on, why not do it? We got some 254,000 scans, I think. And most people saw it 3 times, which means that while they knew the message, it was so entertaining that they wanted to see it over and over again. And that to me kind of opened my eyes to the fact that there are different ways of telling a story. A print ad is a print ad, right? You add a layer on top and the story becomes more interesting. So that's the first application I thought AR could do. It could help you tell your stories better. But then I moved on to a new category, which is hinware, bathrooms. And here the consumer decision journey is very different. So just think through the process of how you buy a chocolate, right? Pretty simple, impulse. You don't evaluate too much. You have 2 or 3 brands and you decide between them. Selecting a bathroom is a much more involved decision, as you can imagine. It's expensive. Most of us don't know plumbing that well, so you're at the mercy of either a contractor or an architect who will tell you what to do. And if you get the decision wrong, the circuitry is wrong or the plumbing is wrong, you have to live with it for the next few years, right? And you'll never hear the end of it from your family, you got this wrong, or you got the wrong model, or the water pressure is not enough. So it's more complicated. So in this category, therefore, the consumer decision journey has this important thing called visualization. Most, you and I, the ordinary layperson, cannot visualize a bathroom on their own. They need help. And that's where we thought that AR as a tech could come in very handy. I'll show you a short video. We have an app which helps people actually do exactly this. Even before they walk into a store, even before they take the time out, because nobody really enjoys bathroom shopping, right? That's a fact. It's not the most pleasant experience. You go to these hardware stores, these sanitary stores. How do you then empower consumers and help them choose is a question. I'll show you a short video of what we do with our app, and then we'll talk more about it. Can we have the first video, please?
As an industry-first initiative, we brought you the Hindware Theme Park app that helped to visualize the products in various themes before even buying it. We demonstrated our expertise and ensured that we help in implementing your dream bathroom. Our knowledge, your bathrooms. Just the experience you wanted to redefine your imagination. Consumers love this tool, and we got over 1 lakh downloads and 98% positive reviews. And now, this experience is about to get even better, larger and real. Over 100 themes to match your taste and a scintillating 3D mode for a 360-degree view of the bathroom themes with coordinated Hindware products. And now take your experience with Hindware Green Bath app for a whole new level with the Hindware Green Gear, a virtual reality device that gives you an immersive bathroom experience. With the Hindware Green Bath app, you not only visualize new bathroom spaces in 3D and VR, but also customize, save and share them with your friends and family. Our constant endeavor is to make your bathroom dreams come true. And now our expertise is in your pocket. So download the new Dream Bath app and start building your dream bathroom with the expert.
So that was an example of how sitting in your own house, you can imagine different products in your own bathroom. It helps you visualize well. What the other step we took was that, okay, this guy's now more or less decided a range of products or a brand. How do we then make it come alive for him when he's actually ready to pay the money and purchase it? You want him in the store. So what we have is a couple of, about 5 of these high-end experience centers, which have the top end or the more premium products in our range. And when consumers and architects walk in, you have to walk in by appointment. And once you walk in there, we have VR which comes in and helps people visualize it. Can we have the AV please?
We live in a digital world where the consumer is used to instant gratification. Hindware understands the importance of customer satisfaction, which is why we introduce the Hindware La Casa, home of the finest bathware. Spread across an area of over 4,000 square feet. A first of its kind digitally enabled store that allows customers a brand new way of experiencing the brand, with various digital integrations at every touch point. The 3D Digi Assist, a unique assistive technology enabling customers to pick and drop products into a smart screen to review its impressive range. Select from a catalogue of pre-existing eclectic designs virtually using the VR gear. This immersive technology allows customers to get a 360-degree perspective on all the designs available. Committed to customer satisfaction, Hindware's bespoke bathroom software allows customers to personalize and design their perfect bathing units before purchasing it. La Casa, a one-stop shop for architects, interior designers, business buyers, as well as homeowners of the finest bathware.
So as you will see from these videos, for us, where these technologies come in handy is to nudge the consumer slowly across the decision journey from information gathering to the final purchase and experiencing the product. One latest service which we've added recently is Bespoke, where you can actually walk into one of our select stores with the map of your own bathroom and have it designed, custom designed for you, and then you get to visualize it through VR gear as well. So that's a new initiative, baby steps. I mean, it's only been 1 month old, but if it's successful, we are in a pilot mode right now. We're going to expand it so bathrooms then become a service rather than just a product. That's what I had to share.
Thanks, Anamika. Viran, may I request you to please share your views on the topic and tell us what.
I'm going to be lazy and just sit and do it. So, good afternoon, everyone. Before I start, a quick question. How many of us here have bought or are in the process of buying a home? Okay, quite a few. Good. So, you'll either agree with me or totally disagree with what I'm going to say. But, so let me start with the core insight that Lodha operates from, which is that consumers don't buy a home. They buy the dream of what their life will be like once they move in. Yeah? And therefore, what we are really in the business of, very simply, is trying to bring that dream alive as much as we can, well before it is actually going to be a reality. Yeah? Because consumers buy a home and they get the delivery depending on when they buy it, but anywhere from a few months to a few years. And that to me is where technology comes in, which is, as a brand, how do we make ourselves relevant to consumers by offering the right experiences through the consumer journey, through the purchase journey. And in that sense, I think Sumit and Anamika both referred to it. There is a risk of kind of getting carried away by the new toy syndrome, because there is always new technology every day. But it's less about which technology a brand uses, more about how it is used. Yeah, and that's really where we come from, and we've learned as we've gone along. It's obviously not been a straight magic wand, and you realize what we need to do. So we started with some experiments, so to speak. So I have two short clips. One where something we did about 2 years ago, and if you can play the first Gigapan video, please. So it's difficult showing 3D stuff in 2D, but so this was the first where we actually used the Gigapan camera from the top of a project called Voltas to show what can be seen throughout, and the Gigapan was just to kind of engage with consumers. So this was good. It was nice. It engaged. We got a lot of people doing it, seeing it, sharing it. But we realized it was a little gimmicky. To be very honest, I mean, what did it do in what I just said about the inside was, which is bringing alive the dream of what they were buying. And over a period of time, we kind of realized that there is a lot more to do. And something that struck home is the combination of old technology and new technology, right? In a manner of speaking. So photography is very, very old as a technology, but drones are a new phenomenon. And one of the key decision questions that, for those of you who have bought a home or in the process will relate with this, is which floor do I buy the house? Okay, I like the building, I like the layout, and so on and so forth, but which floor? 5th, 10th, 15th, 20th? The price goes up as I go higher. Is it worth it? What are the views going to be like? And I'm buying it, 2 years, 3 years out, I don't even know whether it will be worth it. So that's why we decided to combine old and new, and we did something which seems very simple now, basis the design of the project. We used drones and took photographs at various heights from the right angles, right, basis the design. And that formed an online and an offline, if you like, a view book. So you want to look at the east wing, 15th floor, this is what you will see from the living room, the bedroom. You want a west wing, 30th floor, and consumers could well in advance figure out whether the money they were spending was worth it or not, right? So I think it was about making the brand relevant by improving the experience right from the start. And from then on, of course, we technology evolved, and I'll show you a video, but this is going to be really difficult to gauge. But the point is, whatever you're seeing as to what the consumer can do is actually a complete virtual, kind of immersion. They can go in, they can walk around, navigate, etc. So we have a city that we are building called Palava, and this is something we did to kind of give them a sense of, at a city level, what is where, and then when you go in, what you can get in the various neighborhoods that are being developed. Could we have the second video, please? So you can kind of see what each landmark is. very quick snapshot of the whole thing, right from amenities, clubhouse, and you can actually navigate through the whole thing. So fundamentally, you can see what elements are there in the city. You can see in the neighborhood that you want to buy in, what are the amenities, what do the clubhouse look like, what does the apartment look like, and so on and so forth. So fundamentally, it does one of two things. Either it tells you right out that this is not for you, or it helps you to a very large extent be clear of exactly what kind of house you want, where you want, which part of the neighborhood you want it in. And that has a huge business return for us. Ours is a weekend business, yeah. 80% or more of our walkthroughs and the business happens on the weekend. Now, every consumer, and it is a high involvement purchase, there's no other product for which a consumer or a human being goes into a lifelong debt to own. Yeah, think about it. There is no other product that anybody will be taking on a lifelong debt except a home. So it is a high involvement purchase. So every person who comes to the site, the entire journey from the time they come to the site, do a walk around, have their conversation, ask their questions, etc., takes about 2 hours. So the sales manager in a 12-hour day will be able to see only 6 customers, right? So imagine the more we want to grow, the number of people we need. But with this, if consumers are able to see exactly what's available, what's possible, what it looks like, and get most of their information before they visit the site and are clear what they want to see and what they want to select, if it cuts down the visit by half, it means my productivity doubles. Yeah? So that's a very real business return for technology. So while it improves experience for consumers, it certainly improves returns for the business. Yeah. So we've kind of now attempted, and what we're actually doing is, I spoke about the view and deciding what unit they want to buy. So we're actually breaking down. So the consumer journey has 3 large phases. The first is the purchase and the booking. The second is what we call the sustenance phase, because we got to sustain the relationship and engage them while the project is on and their house is ready. And the last is possession and moving in. So like the view, there are other ways in which, whether it's financing, whether it's location specifics and so on and so forth, information and bringing alive the right information and the right experience to help them make a decision to buy. In the sustenance phase, it's about keeping them engaged, giving them updates on where the project is, what's happening in their locality, so on and so forth. So combination of technologies, right from time-lapse videos to show how the construction is progressing, to again AR and VR to show what's done, how it will look 6 months later, and so on and so forth. So it keeps them engaged, lets them know things are moving well. The interesting part is when they're about to take possession, because it's not about just shifting into the home. You're changing ecosystems. Yeah, right from your doodhwala and presswala to the transportation of your kid to school, your own transport to work, etc. So there's a lot of those questions which, while they might think of, they don't really think of till they're told that the possession of their home is ready. So how do we use technology to help them do that? So right from using Google Maps on the site to see what all is there close by, to navigating their way home, way to work before they move in. Also information and walkthroughs of what's happening around their projects. So there is a lot of experience that can be given, including, you were just talking about it, something that is part of my dreams, but soon hopefully will be a reality given how technology is going, is, actually, fine, we bought the house, and this can actually work even in the purchase process, which is something that Anamika referred to, which is human beings lack a 3D visual spatial sense, right? So if I told you a room was 10 feet by 15 feet, you wouldn't have a clue whether that's big or small. We can't. If I showed you an empty room of 10 feet by 15 feet, you'd go, yeah, okay, big, fine, cool. But if I showed you the same room with furniture, you'd actually think the empty room was smaller. Because the furniture gives it a certain spatial context which allows you to gauge size, right? So how do you do that when you're spending your life savings and taking on a lifelong debt to choose a home? We're actually hoping and working on something where you can actually, either through another online store or your own home furniture, your best context of space is your current home, right? How do we actually allow consumers to take photographs of their furniture, upload it onto our site, and on a virtual 3D plan of the unit, pick and drop their own furniture? So you actually get a sense of what your home can look like, what is the size of the room, etc., even before you buy. And certainly, once you're moving in, that becomes an even better thing, because hopefully with other brands, proliferating in the space, right, from Hindware to, Pepper Fry to IKEA to whatever, maybe you can go to their online store, pick and drop furniture from their stores onto the home. It's, you have your furniture planned out and bought even before you get possession. So there's a lot of very real and relevant experiences with technology that isn't rocket science, which is actually possible, and things that we are hoping to bring to fruition. So that was it for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Viral. When we were conceptualizing this panel, a lot of the requests from some of the contributors, who I don't know whether they're in the audience or not, but were that can you actually have everybody talk about how they're using VR technology and AR, and therefore the way we constructed the panel, we thought was we would give ample time for each of the brands actually to talk about how they're using it. Because as we heard most of the panelists speak about, it is not about doing it because it's the latest thing. As a marketer, we should not look at every new technology as this is the feather I need in my cap. It'll look good on my resume that I, as a brand manager, have created something using new technology. But at the end of the day, it has to somewhere help us in our business objectives, in the customer journey, and I think we've had some fantastic experiences of that from the panel. I'm going to open it out. We don't have much more time, actually, to the audience. If there are questions, we're more than happy to take them, because some of the aspects that we wanted to get out was how do you really use it, to help not only a more engaging experience, but help you in your objective. As a company, how does it help you in a better customer journey? How does it help you, for example, Viral just told us, in hopefully actually increasing productivity of his sales team. And Aditya actually showed us what all is possible. I think what is clearly coming out is it's not about VR and it's not about AR only. We know there will be more AR or more augmented reality than virtual, because virtual needs a wearable, right? But it's really about how can you use technology and how can you amalgamate something that was old, for example, what Viral told us about photography and drones, not something that is new, and newer experiences. So are there any questions? Is there anybody in the audience who's done something for their company or seen something interesting which you would like to share? Anyone? Yeah, okay. Have a mic there, please. Can we have the lights on, please, as well? We don't have any more videos to play. Just introduce yourself. Tell us.
I'm Anish. I lead the marketing team at Target. Target is a retail giant. And we have done exactly something that you have been talking about. Specifically, we have created something called Room Designer, which allows you to have all the furniture selected and then create a room. We also created something for baby, because in US, right, whenever a baby is born, they actually recreate their room, so we have done something like that. But one of the challenges that we have faced, and I just wanted to know from you, is how much of photorealistic that you are able to do it, like specifically for things like bathroom, right? You really need the object or the asset to be the photorealistic. Like I have actually seen some of the companies do this work, like Wayfair and even Amazon has done it. But I've seen those looks like very cartoon feeling. I haven't seen Hindware app or I don't know whether you have a website version of that. But I just wanted to know whether that's the biggest challenge that you have been facing, and the same thing for Lodha Group also, because everybody would like to know that.
Hello. So, great question. I think it's the whole principle of garbage in, garbage out works here as well. So, it's the quality of the drawings or the 3D renders which go in, which really make a difference. We take it pretty seriously. So, we have a few partners, dedicated partners, who actually render all our products into higher quality 3D renders. And that really makes a difference. So, the realism you're talking about is the quality of the renders, right, which go in. So I agree with you 100%, that makes a difference. So once you experience our app or the website, you'll be able to tell us whether the experience matches your expectations. What we found with the consumers is that they're pretty satisfied.
Okay, do you want to add your bits, because you're in this whole area of, what are the possibilities? Yeah, because you're
okay, so I don't come from the client side of things, I'm the agency. So I work with a lot of clients. I just believe when a new product, I think in an introduction phase of the product life cycle or the technology life cycle, I think it's important to tell the stories in the right manner. I believe that, so whatever we've done, so there was a small glimpse that you saw. During Ganesh Chaturthi, we created a video where we went to an old age home and actually gave old people an Oculus who couldn't walk to a Lal Bagh Ka Raja, could actually take the darshan of a Lal Bagh Ka Raja, and a mouse guided them from their old age home to Parel. So we mapped the road. So what we did was we created a story and immersed it with the technology. During Diwali, we went to the soldiers at the borders and we gave them a live view, which is 360 live of their home. And
that's a very nice.
And we created a 2D film of it as well. I think the future is where today you have KBC that's happening. Let's say you can actually play the KBC from your own hot seat, which is at your own home, where you have Bachchan Saab sitting in front of you and you have an audience all around you in an Oculus. And if they ask you a question, right, you can actually rely to an audience poll, which has already happened, who can give you an answer as well. So more immersive, more personal, because a lot of these experiences are extremely personal, right? And that's why it helps and works in a large way.
And we know where to go, so there are enough partners there, yeah. Well, the screen is screaming at me. We'll take this one last question, and then a lot of us are going to be at the venue, but we do have Viral who has to, leave. But in case there are questions for Viral, I'm sure Aptech can give you his email ID or send the questions to him, and get your answers.
Sure, thanks for the opportunity. My question is open to all the panelists. What do you think is the roadblock or bottleneck in the expansion of virtual reality? I don't really see always a use of augmented and virtual reality to be seen together, because they are very different in their own set of ways. But what is the key roadblock when it comes to virtual reality, especially when you have a Google Cardboard or any cardboard which is available from 200 rupees and it goes up to even an Oculus, let's say a generation one which starts at 7,500 3 years back, now is coming approximately for 13,000. Do you think that right now India is up to that level where it is ready for the mass expansion of virtual reality?
So as a marketer, I'll give you a very different answer, and then I'll let Aditya talk about the technology and the cost part of it. I think as a marketer, it's just two things to my mind. One is courage, and the second is creativity. Because, the example I've given, for example, of using a camera and drones, it isn't rocket science, it isn't expensive, yeah, but it just takes the experience to a very different level. So it's about having the courage to do it, and somebody who gives you the idea and you take it and you do it. I think, honestly, in today's day and age, it's just that, because costs are not high at all. If you focus on quality over quantity, you can do something really small but high quality, which on its own will go viral. People will engage with it, they'll share it, and that itself will give you mileage. But if one doesn't try it out, it's not, you'll never get anywhere. So I think it's just a matter of trying it out. And in terms of technology and costs and access, I think Aditya...
When Jio was launched, they said there aren't enough 4G phones available in the market, right? And the market was very small, while our competition was 2G, 3G, and a bit of 4G. We were completely 4G. But we launched our own brand of phones, which is the Jio phone, especially in smaller towns and at a price point which was crazy, right? And thus penetrated places where they had no access to 4G phones. We will try and do something similar. I can't talk too much about it at this point of time because I'm not on the authority or the liberty, or I'm not the spokesperson of Jio. But I just said, wait and watch. The next ad tech, probably a large chunk of your question can get an answer. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for being a wonderful audience. Thank you so much.